Okay, so we're talking about the aspects of human physiology. This is the second learning outcome that we are doing today. So we are trying to understand homeostasis um, and understanding that it is the key process which maintains the internal environment of the body. So it's not a very long presentation. So what we'll do is we'll just wind this up, and then tomorrow we'll have the assignment discussion. I hope you can make it tomorrow, because this wasn't planned before, but because the first learning outcome required more time, because it's always the longest, the first learning outcome, because you need an understanding of the subject. That is why. So yeah, so tomorrow we'll have hopefully our assignment discussion, where we will talk about all what we've talked about already. So the first learning outcome will be discussed, and then the second learning outcome will be touched upon, leading to the assignment discussion. Okay, please, again, if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. Some words that need explanation. Homeostasis. So homeostasis is something to do with the internal environment. Okay, so it is the normal internal environment. It could be the internal environment of human beings. It could be the internal environment of any other creature. So homeostasis is something that is normal. Okay, positive and negative feedback. So we all need positive and negative feedback, isn't it? So sometimes, for instance, if I'm not working well, my boss gives me a negative feedback, and what happens with that negative feedback? It boosts me. It should boost me to work better. Okay, and if I'm doing everything very well, I get a positive feedback, and then I know I'm going okay. Okay, so this is how I should be working. Okay, so in the same way, you have the body that gives you positive and negative feedbacks as well. We'll talk about control, so blood glucose levels, osmoregulation. Okay, this is also another term. So our blood glucose levels, as you know, uh, we have glucose in our body, and the main function of that glucose is to provide energy to our body. Okay, it is in the form of sugars, in the form of carbohydrates, and the main function is to provide energy. And that is also controlled within our body. Okay, it's controlled by different hormones, the endocrine system and the hormonal system. It controls this blood sugar level. Okay, sorry. And my voice might go a bit strange in between, because I've got a very bad chest infection, but please bear with me. I'll try my best to sound normal. So, and then we have osmoregulation. Okay, so within our body, there's some different regulatory mechanisms, and amongst those, there's one called the osmoregulation. We'll talk more in detail about it. We'll talk about where the key glands are. We have different glands that secrete hormones. Okay, so there are different glands that we have, and those glands are hello. Hi, good morning. Yeah. So, yeah, so they're responsible for secreting various hormones. And the action, what is the action of insulin and glucagon in control of blood sugar levels? Okay, so insulin and glucagon, they are two types of hormones that are responsible for blood glucose level regulation. We'll talk a bit about all of these, okay? Okay, what is homeostasis? As I said to you earlier, it's a biological term, and it means the steady internal, physical, chemical, and social conditions that are maintained. By maintaining, I mean it's completely balanced. Okay, it's within the living system. By a living system, I don't mean just humankind. I mean even an ant. I mean even a plant. Okay, so there's homeostasis that goes on in every living system. Okay, so that's internal, physical, chemical, and social condition that are maintained. They have to be maintained. So that is why we talked about negative and positive feedback. Okay, so this is the condition of optimal functioning for the organism, and it includes many variables like body temperature and fluid balance being kept within certain preset limits. So you know your body temperature is 38°F. You can't go, if you go beyond that, it's going to be high temperature. If you go below that, it's got to be hypo, and you're going to, it's hypothermia, and you're going to go into another state. So everything in the body, whether it's body temperature, your fluid balance, everything within every organism, it is completely balanced. Now, what happens when there's an imbalance? There are different mechanisms, okay, that might be disturbed within our body, due to which there could be an imbalance. Sometimes it's internal, sometimes it's external. So we'll talk about what happens. So homeostasis, I hope this is clear. So this is not where it is the normal functioning of the organism, okay? So that is what homeostasis means. Stasis means being maintained. Homeo means within yourself. Okay, so it's internal, physical, chemical, and social conditions. So homeostasis, what is, in other words, it is the ability of an organism or system to maintain a stable internal environment despite external changes. Now, you know the temperature outside. What's the temperature? It must be, I don't know, must be 7 or 8 degrees outside. It's quite cold. But within our body, there's a system, although we are cold as well, but our body maintains this regulation called homeostasis. Okay, so even if there's adverse um, external there's an adverse external environment, our body will try and maintain its internal physical, chemical, and social conditions as much as possible. Okay, so and if anything goes wrong in the body, that is another point. Okay, that is where the body cannot cope with the so sometimes it might be -10 or -20 and you're out, and you're not warm enough. That is when the body cannot sustain. So the body can also sustain those limits to some extent. Okay, so there will be environment changes, but I don't mean because we are in a colder environment, I'm talking about cold, but there could be heat, there could be humidity, there could be, let's talk about a plant. There are different 4 seasons that a plant withstands and goes through changes. But within the plant, within that organism, there is a homeostasis that is there in order to maintain a stable environment. Despite these external changes, plants don't need anything to cover themselves, but they're sustaining it because of their internal homeostasis. So this is a vital process, and this maintains the health and survival of the living organism. And it will involve several physiological and biochemical mechanisms, and these will work together to keep the internal conditions within a narrow range of values. So your higher and lower limits will be narrow. So this I mean about, I mean to, when I'm talking about a normal a normal range, that means your blood glucose levels will be should be within a normal range. If they go above or beyond, that's going to create problems within your body. Okay, so the body is maintaining its normal range. That's the body's function. But if you give the body too much pressure, for instance, with anxiety, let's say, or with depression, or with other psychiatric conditions. I'm talking about psychiatry because I have a great interest in it. So, and we hardly talk about it, isn't it? So if within your system, if you're too stressed, that internal system within your body will not function as it needs to function, because of which your blood glucose levels could be deranged. That means if there's a certain limit within which your blood glucose level can remain, it will go either below that or above that, and in either case it is harmful for your body. Also, it is vital to maintain the health and survival of living organisms, and involves this I've talked about. So it's a normal, the normal range is, it's a narrow range of values. So examples of homeostatic mechanisms in the body, in the human body, include the regulation of body temperature, as I said, blood pressure, pH balance, and blood sugar levels. So there are others also, but the most important ones are these. So all your body has different systems, okay? Different systems that are there to regulate your temperature within a narrow range of values, okay? Your blood pressure, 120 by 80 millimeter mercury is the normal range for most healthy adults, but it may be above or below in certain conditions. And your body is trying to maintain that, if it's and if it's out of the range, let's say 100, instead of 120 it is 160 or 70, you then need medication to help you survive through that higher range of value. pH balance, again, that's the balance within your body for electrolytes, for different substances within your body. So either your body can be acidic or alkaline. It does that in different ways. There are different organs within your body, there are different systems within your body that maintain this balance also, and in the same way for blood sugar levels. When these mechanisms fail, it can lead to various diseases. So if you have high blood pressure, you can have strokes, you can have a heart attack. There can be other conditions that you can have because of deranged blood sugar levels. Diabetes is a very good example of this. So you can have various diseases and disorders. Homeostasis is essential for the proper functioning of all living organisms, from single-celled organisms to complex multicellular organisms like humans. By single-celled organisms, obviously, I mean those that you can only see through the microscope. So even within them, there is a system of homeostasis. They obviously don't have they don't have blood pressure, pH balance, and blood sugar. These are for human beings. But they have other things that need to be normal. Otherwise, obviously, their bodies will not withstand it and degenerate. Regulation of blood sugar. This is a very good figure. I hope you've gone through those videos that we had shown you. If you haven't, if time allows, I will be able to do some revision tomorrow, but I will only be able to do that once you've gone through the video. So once this is over, I'll just open the link and then share the links with you again for those things that were missing out. Sorry, for the videos. Okay, so let's talk about blood sugar. Okay, homeostasis through blood sugar. Now your blood sugar, it's maintained through different glands. Now these are different glands. These are not the glands that control blood sugar, but these are normal glands that we'll talk about. So your pituitary gland is within your brain. Your thyroid gland is in your neck. Your thymus is in your chest. Okay, the chest area. Your adrenal glands are just above your kidneys. Okay, your pancreas are just behind your stomach. So your stomach comes in the front. And this is where your pancreas are, just behind your stomach. You have the ovary in the case of females, and the testicles in the case of males. So these are all glands that have different functions. Now, what about homeostasis or regulation of blood sugars? Let's talk about this. Anytime someone doesn't understand any point, please let me know. I don't know, when it's online, you actually can't see faces, so you don't understand who's sorry, who's following your point and who has problem. So if you have any problem, that is why I'm here. And I can spend more time with you, making you understand. Okay, so please remember, there are things that you know and there are things that I know. There are things that I don't know and you know better than me. Okay, so we are all in this journey together of learning and helping each other. If we don't help each other, there's no point of learning. Okay, so this is a continuous cycle and it has to be maintained this way. Okay, so let's start from point number one. So this is a stimulus. Okay, this is a positive stimulus or a negative stimulus. This is a positive stimulus. Okay, so this is positive for all of us. Actually, it's a pastry or a muffin or whatever you call it, something sweet. Okay, so when you eat this, okay, your ultimate goal, what is the ultimate goal of your body? It's homeostasis. That's the set point. Okay, that's the regulatory point. Now, when your blood sugar levels, when you eat this, okay, this is in your stomach, it stimulates your system within your body. And which body system does it stimulate? The pancreas. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Okay, the pancreas, the here. Okay, the pancreas is just above, just in front of the kidneys. So these are stimulated. And what happens when this is stimulated? Just a minute. Yeah, so just when this is stimulated, what happens? The body sends a stimulus to us, telling it that there is there is increase in blood sugar level. Okay, so within the pancreas, we have beta cells. Okay, what these beta cells do, they release insulin. Insulin is a hormone that is released in the blood. Okay, this insulin reaches the blood. And where does it reach? It reaches the cells of the body and the liver. Okay, it's a very simple mechanism if you understand it. So you took in sugar that stimulated your pancreas and your beta cells in you. So you have your alpha cells and your beta cells. Okay, so beta cells are there in the pancreas that release a hormone called insulin, and insulin will be there in your blood, and it reaches the blood cells, the body cells, which helps this glucose to take it up in the cells. Okay, so the blood, the insulin is there in the blood, and there's high glucose also in the blood. Now, if there's high glucose in the blood, that glucose needs to be utilized. Okay, because that needs to give you energy. What this insulin does, it triggers these cells to take up more of glucose. And this liver is triggered. Okay. Liver takes up glucose and stores it as glycogen. Okay. So our body, sometimes when we fast, like some people go for intermittent fasting, you have different ways to fast. So when you start fasting, what happens? You don't have glucose in your body. Okay. So you're not eating anything. Sorry. So when you don't eat anything, the glucose that is stored in your liver stores glucose in the form of glycogen. So glycogen is a storage, a storage form of glucose. So whenever the body is less in glucose or less in sugars, the body releases this glycogen just because it needs energy. We'll talk about this later. So, what happened? Number one, there was a stimulus. You ate something sweet. The pancreas, the beta cells, they were triggered, which released insulin. Insulin makes your body take up more glucose, and some of this glucose is utilized within the body. Some of it is stored in the liver as glycogen. And then blood glucose level declines because all the glucose that was there was either taken up by the cells or it was stored in the liver in the form of glycogen. Therefore, you would have less glucose levels. And this maintains homeostasis. Okay, so blood glucose level uh, uh, should be between 90 milligram per 100 milliliters of blood. So this is your set point. Okay. So high glucose, this mechanism happened. Okay, and it returned to normal. Now the second feedback of the second mechanism is, as I said, when your blood glucose level drops down. Okay, so let's say at 11 o'clock you didn't eat anything till 11, your sugar levels fall down. What do you feel? You feel dizzy. Okay, what happens? The pancreas, they're again stimulated. Alpha cells in the pancreas, they release glucagon now in your body, in your blood. That instead of insulin, as a result of high glucose, there is now glucagon. This glucagon goes to your liver and helps helps release that stored glycogen. So some of the glucose that was stored in the liver in the form of glycogen is now being released from here, and the blood glucose level rises, but it will rise to stay at this level. So if it's at this level, it's okay. Now, what happens in diabetes? Your liver, your pancreas don't they don't function properly. So what happens? Whenever you have diabetics, their blood sugar levels are very high. That is because there's no insulin either, and then you have to have external insulin. This is what the mechanism is. So your body needs that insulin to take up glucose. Otherwise, there'll be high level of blood sugar within your body. And that is what we test when we test the blood of a diabetic. So this is in a nutshell. So when you have something sweet, your pancreas release insulin. When you don't have anything to eat, your pancreas release your alpha cells within your pancreas release glucagon that then stimulates the stored glycogen so that glucose is released in the body, in the blood. I hope this is clear to everyone. Very simple. If you go through it again, you'll understand it better. So homeostasis is it refers to the body's ability to physiologically regulate its internal environment in order to ensure its stability in response to fluctuations in external or internal conditions. Now, your liver, your pancreas, kidneys, and the brain. So we talked about the hypothalamus, the autonomic nervous system, and the endocrine system. They all help maintain homeostasis. So there's so many organs that help maintain homeostasis. But even if one of them are disturbed, the whole system gets disturbed. Okay. So the liver is responsible for metabolizing or for degenerating toxic substances. And with signaling from the pancreas, they maintain carbohydrate metabolism. So when you take in medication, for instance, so some toxic medication, some medication have a toxic impact also. That is degenerated or that is neutralized in the liver, or certain other substances are also metabolized in the liver. Okay. And the liver also helps maintain carbohydrate metabolism. This is through the pancreas. Okay, so different organs have different functions. The liver also helps to regulate lipid metabolism and is the primary site for cholesterol. Now, we need cholesterol for our body. Okay, cholesterol gives us energy again. So the lipids within our body, they're there to give us energy. Some are bad, some are good. But if the liver stops, like if sometimes people who don't have proper liver functioning, that happens when your cholesterol levels are deranged. You always have a liver test in that condition. Okay, so the liver is there for maintaining your cholesterol levels. The kidneys are responsible for regulating blood water levels, reabsorption of substances into the blood, maintaining salt and iron levels in the blood, regulation of blood pH, and excretion of urea and other waste products. Okay, so these are all the functions of the kidneys. Unfortunately, at this time, you'll have to memorize these. So you'll have to know this and also memorize this. And in your brain, there's a part called the hypothalamus, which is responsible for sorry, sorry, regulation of body temperature, your heart rate, your blood pressure, and your circadian rhythm, which is known as your waking and sleeping cycle. So the hypothalamus is responsible for so many things in your body. Isn't it amazing? So it's the body temperature. So it's not just the hypothalamus, it's obviously other parts of the body as well, but this is one of the functions that the hypothalamus maintains. Your heart rate, how fast your or how slow your heart beats, your blood pressure, and your wakening and sleeping cycles. So how do you know you have to sleep 7 hours or 8 hours? How do you just get up on your own? That is a circadian rhythm. Okay, that is a rhythm that is maintained within your body that comes with time, and that is what your brain helps you in, the hypothalamus. So homeostasis, it can be influenced by either internal or external conditions. Internal are intrinsic factors or external are extrinsic factors. In external, you have the environment. There are other internal systems such as wear and tear within the body. As I said to you, externally, you might have pressure, you might have stress. That is all external factors. You might have heat, extreme cold conditions. Internally, you might be unwell, your kidneys might not function properly, there might be something that's not functioning properly within your body. That is internal. And sometimes in external factors, they can lead to internal imbalances within your body. We know that. Okay, and this is maintained by many different mechanisms. All homeostatic control mechanisms have at least 3 interdependent components for the variable being regulated. So there are 3 interdependent, so they're dependent upon each other. Just please bear with me. Give me a minute. I'll just take your attendance at the moment, and I'll just just a minute before. Okay. So if there's any questions, I'm again requesting you all. It's a new topic and it's a bit it might be complex for some of you because you're doing it for the first time. If you have any questions, if you need anything repeating, please let me know. I'll be happy to do that. Yeah, that is why I'm here. So human physiology. Physiology, and that's the date. Okay. So yeah, thank you for that. I'll start sharing my slides again. So yeah, I hope my slides are visible again. So as I said, there's certain internal and external sorry, factors that impact homeostasis. There's different sensors. Now, in your body also, you have sensors or receptors, okay? And they they detect change, either if it's in the internal environment or in the external environment. You have examples such as the peripheral chemoreceptors. These detect changes in blood pH. So your temperature, your chemoreceptors, you have different chemoreceptors within your body that are there to sense chemical changes. Okay, so chemical changes, they produce changes in your blood pH. Either they'll make it acidic or more basic. Okay, so we need a balance. Okay, and anything that is imbalanced, these are detected by your sensors or your receptors known as peripheral chemoreceptors. So you have control centers, and these receive information from these sensors. So the sensor or the camera, let's say, it sends signals to a uh, a central control mechanism, and that initiates the response to maintain homeostasis. Okay, so everything is maintained through this central mechanism. Okay, so you have sensors that are there. Peripheral chemoreceptors. So peripherally, you have sensors that go and give signals to the central sources of information. And they initiate the response and they maintain homeostasis. The most important example is the hypothalamus, which is, again, I talked about it. It's there to regulate your heart rate, your blood pressure, your fullness. So if you're full, it gives you a sense of fullness and you won't eat more. So why don't we eat more and more? Why don't we eat the whole day? Because we have a sense of fullness. That is because our peripheral chemoreceptors tell the central body, which is the hypothalamus in our brain, that I'm enough, I'm full. So that is when you stop eating. Or when you're not full, your peripheral chemoreceptors give an indication to the hypothalamus that you're not full. You need to be full now. And then circadian rhythm also, just the sleep and wake cycles. Okay, and as an effector, and is any organ or tissue that receives information from the integrating center and acts to bring about, so that if there's any change, again that will be triggered and the hypothalamus will again work towards bringing it towards normal. So an example is the kidney, which retains water if blood pressure is too low. Okay, so there are positive and negative feedback complex mechanisms that maintain homeostasis. So what happens within our blood? There's a blood the blood has is within our blood vessels, you know that. So there's tiny pipes or tiny tubes within our pipe is very bad word that I use, sorry. It's this, so the tiny tubules within our, or tiny vessels, they're known as blood vessels. So the blood that is there inside our body or inside our blood vessels, they exert pressure. Okay, so they exert pressure. The pressure within our body, it's increased in two conditions, because of two main conditions. There are several conditions that increase or decrease it, but mainly the mechanism involves two processes. Sorry. Okay. So either it is so your pressure, it increases when your when the area of your blood vessel decreases in size. So let's say the blood vessel turns narrower because of any reason. So you can have your certain medications that can make your blood vessels go narrower. In that case, you will have high blood pressure. Okay, because the normal liquid or the normal blood within your body, that will exert more pressure because there's less space within that blood vessel. The other instance is when the blood vessel is of normal size. Okay, it's not constricted, it's of normal diameter, but the water within your blood, or the blood within you, it's increased in amount. Okay, even that increases the pressure within your blood vessel. Okay, so there are two conditions. I hope that's clear. So there's a positive and negative. So even within your blood vessels, there are receptors that tell the hypothalamus that yes, or tell the kidneys, for instance, that our pressure is high. And what the kidneys do, they maintain the water balance. Okay, so if the blood pressure is too high, your kidneys regulate it in a different way. There's a complex mechanism where your kidneys start flushing out the water. Okay, the excess water within your blood, so your blood pressure goes back to normal. Or if your blood pressure is too low, you're hypotensive, even in that case, your kidneys are triggered. Okay, and then it doesn't let you release too much water, so you won't be going to the toilet too often, and that is how your blood it maintains its water content, okay, and its pressure ultimately. I hope that's clear. So there's a negative feedback mechanism also. So it uses one of the products of reaction to reduce the output or activity of the process for the purpose of returning an organ or system to its normal range of functioning. So they're most homeostatic processes that use negative feedback mechanisms to maintain specific parameters around a set point range that supports life. I'll talk about this negative feedback. It should be noted, however, that negative feedback processes are also used for other processes that are not homeostatic. So let's take an example of this negative feedback mechanism for temperature. So let's say your body temperature rises, okay, when you have high high body temperature. It rises and you have a high body temperature. Now, what happens? Your blood vessels or your body, the arteries within your blood, they constrict. So that means they go thinner. They go lesser in their diameter. They constrict so that the heat is reserved. Okay. Sweat glands do not secrete fluid, and shivering generates heat which warms the body. So what happens when your body temperature falls? We're talking about the fall of temperature. So this is when your body temperature falls. So you've come to a let's say a very cold environment. It's minus 10 degrees, let's say. What will happen here, that your blood vessels, they will constrict. Now, if your blood vessels are constricted, they maintain the heat within them. So that's a heat within the body as well. So when the blood vessels constrict, there's heat that is there in your body that is conserved. Okay. So even if it's extremely cold outside, your body, inside your body, it remains cold because of constriction of these blood vessels. Okay. You know that everything shrinks when it's cold. Okay. That is because it needs to save itself. Your sweat glands do not secrete fluid. So normally when it's high, very high temperature, that is when your sweat glands, when you sweat a lot. But in cold temperature, obviously you will not sweat. So even if you sweat, when you sweat, what happens? You release heat. You're not going to release heat. You don't want to release heat. You are going to save the heat that is there within your body. And what are you going to do? You're going to shiver out of cold. This is involuntary contraction. You don't do it on purpose. This is involuntary. This is not in your control. Your involuntary muscles, they contract. They jerk a lot. This generates heat which warms the body, and then your heat is retained. This is a negative feedback. Okay. And so what happens? Your body temperature turns to normal. And let's say your body temperature rises, you go to a hot temperate environment, it's 50 degrees there. What happens? Your blood, the exactly opposite thing happens. Again, negative feedback. Your blood vessels dilate. So when they dilate or they relax, they release energy, they release heat to the environment. Your sweat glands, you start secreting more sweat, and your fluid evaporates. The heat is also lost from the body. So that is why you sweat, that mechanism. And it's not in your control. You sweat because your body makes you sweat just to release that heat that is trapped inside your body as a result of high temperature outside. So heat is lost to the environment. This happens when people have very high grade temperature. Any question, please? What is the meaning of blood being constricted? Okay. Blood vessels, they go lesser in diameter. So they shrink in size. Your blood vessels, they are like tubes. Okay. So they shrink in size. So as I said, when it's cold, things shrink. That is because they need the energy that is there within themselves. Okay. So when blood vessels, or when you have blood in your blood vessels, okay, and in that blood you have energy. So within, even if it's hot outside, even if it's cold outside, within your body, so if it's minus 10 degrees outside, within your body there's still warmth. There are chances that your body remains warm inside. I'm not talking about outside. Your skin might be extremely cold. What will happen? You'll start shivering. your blood vessels will constrict. That means they'll shrink in size. They'll go narrower in size. When they go narrower in size, that means they're saving all the energy, or they're saving all the heat that is there within themselves, so that it doesn't escape outside. What happens when your body temperature rises, when you're in 50 degrees temperature? The exact opposite happens when your blood vessels dilate or they increase in size. That gives a chance of more heat to be expelled outside your body, so that the heat that is trapped inside your body, you don't want it to excess, because that is also harmful for your body. So that is released from your blood vessels. So there are different mechanisms. This is one of the mechanism that works when the body temperature goes high or low. I hope that's clear now. I'm sorry, this bad cough it's really bad. I'll give you an example here. So temperature control, nerve cells, your sensors, they're there. Okay, in your body you have nerve cells. They send information about the body temperature to the hypothalamus. That's the integrating center. That's the main focus. That's the main focal center within your brain. The hypothalamus then signals several effectors. Several cells are stimulated to return the body back to 37 degrees centigrade, which is the set point. So what is the body's ultimate aim? It's to go back. You're welcome. It's to go back to 37 degrees centigrade. Okay. What happens in this, that as I said, when it's two effectors, they're activated in the process. When core temperatures is too high, the sweat glands, which serve to cool so now what happens within your body? There's sweat glands. Within your skin, there's sweat glands. And what happens when your body temperature rises too much? So for instance, if you have a high temperature, I don't mean only the environment is very hot. It may be hot, but within your body, you might have high temperature. You might have fever. So what happens? You start sweating a lot. And what that sweat does, it releases the trapped heat from inside and releases it to cool the skin and the blood vessels, which undergo dilation. Dilation means they increase in size. Okay, they dilate or enlarge, so the body can give off more heat. Once the core temperature is brought back into normal range, which is 37 degrees centigrade, the sensor will send negative feedback mechanisms again to shut it off. Okay, so the sweat glands, they can stop doing what they did. They can stop releasing excess sweat, and inhibit further vasodilation or further broadening or increase in the size of the blood vessels. So both internal and external events can induce negative feedback mechanisms. I said internally within our body, and externally if you're going to a hot environment. Both of them can induce negative feedback mechanisms. We're not talking about positives at the moment. We're talking about negative feedback. Two examples above, they represent the one that is very cold, the one that is very hot. Within how do you maintain the normal temperature range? We can also mediate the cooling of the body through external factors, such as removing a hot hat and gloves, or pouring a cool glass of water over our head just to keep ourselves cold. So if the body is there to function, but we can do it externally also. Okay, so these can help also. Both external and internal mechanisms for cooling can return the temperature of the body to within the normal range and elicit the negative feedback response. Okay, so you're helping the hypothalamus as well, so it happens more speeded, so it happens more quickly. The process would take time if it's just your body. So that is why when someone has a very high temperature, what do? You put cold compresses. You ask them, you tell them to put cold not water, but cold cloths on their head, on their forehead, because that has you sweat a lot in your head, isn't it, on your forehead? So that is where you try and support the hypothalamus by further decreasing the temperature in a person who has high temperature, who has a high fever. If the body temperature is below the set point, muscles shiver. And very cold, the muscles shiver to generate heat and constrict the blood vessels, keeping the body to retain heat. And what else do? You wear a warm coat on. Okay, when it's very cold, you help the hypothalamus even further. You wear a scarf, you wear gloves, just to help maintain your heat within your body. So homeostatic processes, they're very complex because the set point or normal range might change depending on the circumstance. For instance, the hypothalamus can change the body's temperature set point, such as raising it during a fever or help fight an infection. Okay. Okay. Now we'll talk about positive mechanisms. Let me just see. Okay, this is for you to see. Okay, so we have positive mechanisms also. How do they function? So for instance, if we don't complete this lesson in time, I'm left with only a few minutes left. We can do it tomorrow, and then when we do it tomorrow, I'll go through this session and I will also talk about the assignment. Okay, so we can do them together. Then there's a positive mechanism in which an activated component, it enhances or further upregulates the process that gives rise to itself in order to create an even stronger response. So let's talk let's again, what our basic function is: to keep the body within the normal range. Okay. So an example is blood clotting. Okay. We'll go to this figure. And I'll end over here. Okay. The reason is because then it will become too much. I'll send you this video, and I'll send you a few more videos that we had discussed last time. So what happens with this positive feedback mechanism? We're talking about in blood clotting. So there, what happens there? I think this is too complex. This will take more time. What I can do now is that I can stop sharing this. So I'd rather talk about this negative mechanism next, like tomorrow, next, like, yeah, on Sunday. And then we can go ahead, because this is quite a complex topic, which will need more time. What I can do for now for you is to stop here, because I don't want to bombard you with too much. So I'll just share this link with you. If one of you can please share it in the group chat. If you're, I'm sharing it over here, but if you can just share. So this is the endocrine system. Please do have a look at this endocrine system, this video on endocrine system. It's very important for you to go through these videos. What I will do is now I'll just go through the previous videos that we had, I had asked you to look at. In learning outcome 1, just bear with me. Any questions from the negative feedback so far? So tomorrow we'll do the positive feedback. I'll take a bit of, I'll really appreciate if you keep it as an interactive session, because there's no point me, I'm talking about it forever, and I'm not sure if you're following or not. Some of you are kind enough to chip in, but I would want everyone to respond, please, when I ask questions tomorrow. These are some of the videos. I'm quickly sharing it in this in the chat box. So this is the nervous system. Very short videos that you can look at in your own free time. Just have a look at them if you have time today. So it's like a revision, and it gives you better understanding when you're going ahead in the course. Any questions? This is the digestive system that I've just shared with you, the cardiovascular system. We can't go through all of these videos because some of them are even 10 minutes long, so it doesn't serve the purpose. I'm actually talking about everything. So this is just an addition to support you. Any questions? Sandra, any questions? This is the respiratory system. And then you have the excretory system. This is for the kidneys. Unless you, so if you have a look at the videos that, these videos that I'm sharing, these links with you, and do a bit more research yourself also. The endocrine system I've shared with you already. This is just an, I'm sharing it with you again. So this is a whole list of videos that you can see, and these are very good videos that have been compiled together just to enhance your understanding. So I've shared these videos with you. Yeah, so tomorrow we'll just go through the bits that are left behind. So we'll do the positive mechanism, the positive feedback mechanism, and a bit about general homeostasis. So if there are no questions, yeah, I'm happy to call it a day. You take care of yourselves and have a nice day. And yeah, tomorrow we'll just have a revision session and we'll have a discussion of the assignment. Okay? Is that
Thank you.
fine? Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care. Good luck. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Matilda. Take care. Nice day. Bye.